Peasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Kind of have to have a little bit of fun here, and because especially in the past few days I put up the video about all the wins I had made, and or not all, just a short list of some of the major wins in my life. And like I say, all of a sudden my blog couldn't report any action, even if I went to another site and clicked on my blog as an anonymous person. Nothing got recorded. So, obviously somebody somewhere was tampering with it. Before the end of the day, I went ahead and put another post up. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, because that post was about the fact that somebody was tampering, I suddenly recorded a couple of clicks. And previous to that, I was hitting anywhere from, just below 60 views to over 80. Now, I'm no big, huge person. I don't have a lot of followers. Like I said, this Revelation 2:17, I cannot belong to a religion, so therefore I cannot become a religion. And I don't, throughout my life, have followers. I don't follow people very much. I do watch stuff, yes. You go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I got, hundreds of people I've subscribed to that I go look at. If you go to my Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that, every last one of them, I'm following people to watch what they do, but none of them I am so following as the guy that was jumping in my face the other day there. And yes, he's finally run away. He stopped screaming obscenities at me and realized that I keep saying, dude, if you don't put physical evidence in my hands of what you claim, then how can I, as an investigative photojournalist, believe your story? You have no data to back yourself up. And he finally ran off, sniveling into the corner. The United States government, the elite rich, basically several times talked about the idea how these people are making a mistake, and they don't learn from their mistake. Like Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and not learning from it, but rather just simply expecting different results. You can't get different if you always walk down the same street and you always walk with 30 steps to make that trip down there, pick up your mail and come back or whatever it is, then you're never going to have any real changes, especially if you're looking down at the ground so you don't see birds flying, butterflies flying, a leaf in the air, or the clouds, anything like that. You don't do something different, you cannot expect different results, okay? So he says that's insanity, and that's basically what's happening. So the government is doing everything they can to hide me. OccupyISS, they're trying to hide me. Now, unfortunately, I'm caught in a circumstance where, because of the life I've walked, the path I've walked, there are a huge number of prophetic statements in religious texts that now apply to me in my life. There are literally hundreds of prophecies that were given to me personally by either the spiritual realm or by people around me in my life during different portions and times. Like I said, one of the more notable, for instances, is Disneyland, 7 years old, standing there with my step family. A couple of people walk out of the crowd, point their finger at me, say, "You're the white horseman of the apocalypse," turn around, walk back into the crowd. They don't try and get me to join anything. They don't have their hand out for money. Absolutely nothing. They don't give me an ice cream cone or anything like that. They just walk up, point their finger, and turn around, walk away. My step family drops their job because they know I'm not supposed to have anything to do with the Bible churches. And you know, that's a prophetic statement, folks. There's nothing else to say about it, okay? At this point in time in my life, yes, I do meet the requirements. I am sufficiently hardcore enough and very, very good at being a lawyer. So I can, by, you know, the words that come out of my mouth, the sword of my tongue, you know, I'm able to literally tell governments that you are illegal, you must cease and desist. Okay? You have criminal charges on you. You must cease and desist until you are tried in a courtroom of my choice. The victim chooses the courtroom, not the offending criminal actors or persons or government or church. Okay? The criminal never chooses the courtroom, never chooses the judge, never chooses the circumstances and rules of that courtroom. How could it possibly be legal? How could it possibly not be corrupt otherwise? Okay? So they are in effect the elite rich, the 1%, the governments that they control, the churches and stuff that are part of that elite rich, and then the governments and the things that they control. And no, I don't see any difference between a government and a church. They both tithe, or they both demand money, or they're going to kill you, and, you know, imprison you, throw you out of the country, you know, whatever. It's quite obvious that they both work the same and all of that. But they are so busy picking on me and beating me up and trying to assault me and do all kinds of dangerous things to me that they don't actually stop and realize that they should go back and read stuff, okay? My starship that was prophesied in 1960 is mine to control its captain. I do not control what my cargo is. When I am beamed up to my starship, or I fly up to my starship, or, you know, however I get there, okay, my starship lands and I walk onto it. There is a cargo that is also life forms of all kinds, not just humans, okay? There is no arrogance on my part. The humans are just part of what the life is on this planet. But the bugs, the plants, the microcilia, the algae, the bacteria, the viruses, all the things that make up a total complex of planet life must be sampled and taken off planet with me on my starship. Therefore, I don't have any control over it. Which means if I take, and I'll pick on the Bible here because it's going to be the most fun, the proverbial 144,000 with me, plus some others that are not stained by the beast. Yeah, it's not my decision, is it? Those people have to be pure in heart. They had to have clean motives for doing what is spiritually right. Therefore, if you are a government entity, CIA, NSA, FBI, and you are blocking my sites from getting views, you are keeping people from knowing that I exist, if you are doing things to endanger my life, then quite technically, by the rules of the spiritual realm, you don't have any right whatsoever to even think about coming onto my starship. Now, there is the, shall we say, little clause that I get to invite some people up with me onto the starship. Okay? It has always been considered that if I have any offspring, I have one, my son, I can invite him up onto the starship to be with me if I feel so inclined to do so. If I have some friends or some people that have been very beneficial to my life and have done things to help me, then yes, they have acted according to a decent person type of a thing towards me. I'm not talking about every girlfriend I ever had or anything like that. I'm just saying that, if there's people over the years that I think might be nice to take along, I can invite them on board. They, having family, can bring themselves on board. My son, for instance, he's spent the past 15 years with his mother and has had nothing to do with me. If I were to invite him on board my Starship, which had 23 miles long, no problem. I'm at one end, he can go be at the other end, and if he so desires, he can bring his mother. And if you're sitting there and insulting me, if you're trying to claim that I'm insane to believe in a spiritual realm instead of believing in a psychiatrist who wants to give me drugs that will scramble my brains and make me totally stupid, if you believe you can put a gun to my face and threaten that if you don't get to go up onto my Starship, you're going to blow my head off, you lose. Because you don't have any right to get there. You don't have anything that's going to put you there. And I'm not allowed to bring somebody that would be a personal danger to me on the Starship. Therefore, you putting a gun in my head, I'll go up to the Starship, you'll get booted out the airlock before you ever get inside. Okay? That's kind of a silly way to look at it, but if you read through a few hundred religious texts around the planet, it is a consistent rule. Those that have concern about being pure and clean, or trying to be pure and clean in their hearts. I'm in no way saying that this heart of mine, folks, is totally pure. There is no way that I would ever say that I have not stolen something in my life, as a little kid or somewhere in the middle. There's no way I would ever say that I haven't lied. Like, for instance, telling the doctors in prison that, yeah, okay, no problem, I'll take your pill, I'll shut up, And when I get out of prison, I go find a medical doctor to safely remove that pill from my system, to being who I am, and end up having to run for my life out of the country that I was born in. Being a criminal cartel, being the bully like a Donald Trump type person, thinking that because you are classifying yourself as royal born when there's absolutely nothing in your genetic makeup that shows it, or being somebody that is so inbred because your family keeps, breeding within the same little pool of genetics that, you think that you're special, and you absolutely have to be taken because look at all the gold you've got down here on the planet. None of that is of any value. As it says in the Bible, and as it says in a great many other religious texts in different ways, it's a lot easier for you to shove a camel through the eye of a needle than any amount of money you have getting you into space. Don't have any ability to walk up and hold any kind of weapon to my head and prevent the gods from taking me out of your possession. So, you folks don't know what you're dealing with. Counting down, the hours and days and minutes to, when World War III starts. And, I can easily believe my Starship is going to pluck me up and out of here. Easily see that, the elite rich are going to end up having one heck of a lousy time down here because they have literally programmed themselves into being the ugly beast that gets thrown into the chasm. I have been fighting for my human rights and my son's human rights for about, 25, 26 years now. 1992, and this is 2019. Yeah, that's 27 years, folks. So, nobody's changed what they're doing on the other side, and I've simply adjusted to outsmart them and outthink them. Cheers, OccupyISS. Day 87 of being locked into my apartment, still alive, still kicking, still fighting.